just waiting for a little bit longer just to make sure everything's set up. I will start. Okay, I think everything looks good. We are going to start. Alright, sorry about that. I was just getting everything set up. Sometimes there's a glitch on Twitch, and then sometimes the internet's not working. I'm trying to stream on Reddit at the same time. Sometimes it doesn't load, so I'm just making sure everything is warmed up before I start playing for maybe an hour straight. I think everything is good right now. Oh wait, I forgot to flip the camera. Sorry about that. That one. Come on. Oh well, there we go. Alright, hello everyone, my name is One Who Gets Bread, and I will be practicing some songs on the recorder, like how the title says. I'll be starting with a piece by Bach called the Brandenburg Concerto number 2 in F major. On this instrument, this is the alto recorder, and it's a lot larger than your standard soprano one, and it has a deeper voicing as well. Instead of in the key of C, it's in the key of F. So the bottom note will be this F here. And so if you do the fingerings for a C major scale on the alto recorder, we'll actually get the F major scale. And that was just a thirds pattern. I accidentally started playing that instead of a scale, but here's a scale. So it's a very rich instrument, especially in the lower register. Before I get started, I actually have my cat in the room with me, and I think she wants to leave, so I'm just going to open the door, and I'll get started. Alright, back to Brandenburg Concerto 2 by Johann Sebastianbach. This piece is scored for a solo trumpet, a solo violin, a solo oboe, and of course a solo recorder, with of course an orchestra comprised of 2 violins, 1 viola, a cello, and basso continuo, which is a harpsichord or a bassoon. And this concerto in particular has a famous motif in the 3rd movement, which is played on the trumpet on the very high range of the instrument, and it goes something like this. You turn to the correct page first, alright? So that's the famous motif in the 3rd movement, but we're going to start off this practice session with the 1st movement. I'm playing on live streaming. Let me go back a little bit because that high section messed me up. Page turn. Man, that's a really high part. Okay, let me try that again. Okay, there. I figured out the pattern. move on to the end of the song, I just wanted to go back to that part, because in the actual concerto, at this section where the alto recorder has these melodies that go. At that section, it's very reminiscent at the beginning, near, I'd say, before it goes into D minor, which was that section of the high notes, all that D minor stuff in that high octave. It has this kind of call and response element in the song where I think the first time it happens, it's the oboe and the trumpet. So then now it's the not the trumpet. I think it's the violin and the recorder, if I remember the concerto correctly. So I would go, if I was playing in an ensemble, I would be playing the part A, or first call, and then the violin or the oboe will be responding. So I would be going like, and then there's a half note there on that F, and then within that half note, that's when the other instrument in that little counterplay of melodies, that's when they would respond with their own version of that dun 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 dun, and then I would go back. Now it's in. Oh wait, that's the last one. Let me find where it is. I would go. So from there, it was like A minor, and then the other instrument, and then I think I go from G major to C with this. And then again, there's a cool note there, and then it would go back to the other instrument playing something along that line. And then the last one goes. So now it's in A minor, and this is actually a version of the main theme at the beginning of this melody. And then as well as the. So it's really cool if you're watching there's a video that has this score, and it's scrolling as the music is playing in the background. It's cool to see where Bach puts in the theme of the concerto in different keys throughout the piece, and I think that's very interesting. It's also very mathematical, all of these 16th note rhythms, their patterns of the notes. I think that's why I like playing Baroque music, because of I am more in tune with like all the STEM stuff, like math and biology and science like that, and I think that's the reason why I like Baroque music. It's because it has that same formulaic, not formulaic as it gets boring, but it has that mathematical relationship between the different instruments when they're playing their own specific melodies, and it all comes together as this wonderful soup of harmony that you could hear. So back where I picked off, so after that A minor section, it'll go back to the theme at the beginning, but this time the recorder is playing at its highest possible octave. So I need to practice right here, because there's a transition between the kind of medium range to the highest possible, one of the highest possible notes on the alto recorder. You need very good airspeed and a specific shape of your lip when you're embouchure, when you're hitting those high notes on this instrument. think I missed an accidental somewhere. Sorry about that. Let me backtrack. Oh, yep, I did. I missed an E flat. Okay, we could just go back. So at the end there, where it returns to the theme at the beginning, that goes. So right there at that high C, I like to add a ritardando in the music there. If I was playing this as like a part of an ensemble and thing, I would like to see if they could add a ritardando at that C. Or even a fermata in a piece of music. When you see a fermata, which looks like a dot, and there's a line like that over the dot, that means hold it until the first chair or the conductor tells you to move on to the music. So something like that, the ritardando and a fermata, will just have the effect that you're waiting on that ledge, like you're waiting for something to happen. So on that high C at that in that run of the melody, the see, I'm anticipating for something to happen, and it's at the end of the piece. So it's going to like resolve itself. It's not going to do one of those cadences, but it's just like anticipation with like, how is this piece going to end, you know? So again, at that high C. Alright, I'm going to move on to a piece by George Friedrich Handel, actually. And this will be a section from his famous water music, specifically the third suite, which is also known as the flute suite in G major. You find the page. The third suite starts with a Spanish dance called the sarabande. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing it, but it's spelled Sarabande, and I did some research online. It's a slow Spanish dance usually it's in triple meter, so it's like a waltz. And usually there's emphasis on the second note of each measure. So, you know, in waltz meter or 3/4, you would have, let's just say, I'll play a little bit of the Blue Danube just to show what I mean by there's 3 beats in every measure. I kind of messed up there, but so you know when the Blue Danube it goes. Each measure has 3 beats in a waltz, and in the sarabande you have a slower waltz, so at a slower tempo, but there's emphasis on the second note of each measure. And another thing about George Friedrich Handel's water music, it was actually written for one of the kings in England, and they requested a barge to be carried up and down the Thames River, which is in London. And so he would get all these musicians. He had oboes, he had horns, which were new at the time because they came from Germany, they came from Bohemia. So he had the oboes, which were French, they're hautbois, hautboys. They're actually mentioned in the Scottish play. It would say something like torches and hautboys or hautbois, and that is the oboe. That's the old name for the oboe. So you would have all these musicians, they would get on these ships on the Thames River, and they would be going up and down, repeating Handel's water music for the king to show how great he was and his power and influence over England. Um, in the orchestra, you also would have had, of course, the strings. You had the violins, violas, cellos, and the Baroque version of the double bass. You would also have bassoons and sometimes contrabassoons. A contrabassoon is just a deeper bassoon. It's if you see the Baroque bassoons, there's a performance by um, BBC's Proms in 2012 that they did the water music suits. And you see where the bassoons are standing, you see these big towering instruments. Those aren't those aren't decorations like on the stage or anything like that. That's an instrument called the contrabassoon. And the modern contrabassoon, it's actually curved over like that. But the Baroque version, they're like these big old towering poles, and then the person who's playing it, you could see in the video that they have their hands really stretched out, and they're really stretched out because it's such a large instrument, and they're playing like the bass line. They're playing like the bassoon line, but they're gonna play it one octave lower. You also, in his orchestra back then, would have had recorders. So specifically in that BBC Proms performance where they used historical instruments, he had the alto recorders play at the flute suit instead of a flute that you would blow across it. So he had the recorders instead of the more modern Baroque flute and D, which was played like the modern one, or the Western concert flute. Can't remember if he had any other instruments. Oh, he also had the trumpets. The trumpets are big in this the second suite of water music. They play at the hornpipe, which is used in commercials and stuff like that. And so the trumpets would be lined up on this side, and then the horns. And they would have this call and response thing during the hornpipe, and the hornpipe kind of sounds like this. It's one of the more recognizable pieces from water music. And so, yeah, in each of the suits, you have different instruments that are the focus. The first one has the hunting horns, which again would have been a new instrument to the English audience of music at the time, because these horns were from the stables of the hunters and the nobility in Germany and that area as well in Central Europe. So they had these musicians who were playing these new instruments. The horn, the natural horn, like the hunting horn, would be playing hunting calls like. So things like that traditionally are used for the hunt, but they started incorporating it into Baroque music. And in the first water music, you could hear them. They have some sections where they actually have solos, which is pretty cool. I recommend you check out the performance by BBC Proms on the water music to see these hunting horns in action. And then in the second suite, you have the trumpets. Again, it's like a medieval or royal fanfare. They're playing back and forth call and response to the horns. And you, of course, have the hornpipe, which is played in like most of the commercials, especially in furniture commercials for some reason. And then there's the third suite, which doesn't really get that much attention, but it was said to be played when all of the royalty and the musicians, it was at night and they were eating dinner, they would bring out the woodwinds, so like the oboes, the recorders, the flutes, and they would play the third suite, which is a more, not as energetic, but more relaxing. And there's the first, I was saying, like the first movement is a slow Spanish dance, so it's more like evening music than maybe the hunting calls and the trumpet fanfares would. So anywho, this is Saraband from Handel's water music. Please listen for the emphasis on the second note of each measure. Just gonna read the comments quickly. The stream. I think there's anything there. All right. Okay, I'm going to actually give this recorder a rest. I don't want to fog it up, and I'll move to a different instrument. So right here we have a tenor recorder. This is the Yamaha model, the tenor recorder, and as you can see, it's a larger recorder, so it's a deeper instrument. This one actually has the same bottom note as a flute, as the modern flute, and as you can see, there's a size difference there. So bigger, larger, more mellow instrument. I put this one away. And the unique thing about the tenor recorder, you can see, I'm going to bring it up to the camera here. You can see that there's a set of keys. Right there, yeah, that's a better camera angle. You can see there's keys for those lower notes. The notes that need those keys are the bottom C, which will be this note. Let me move my stand out of the way, I don't want to knock it. Okay, I'm going to move that right there. So here's the bottom C that requires both of those keys to be down. And then here's the C sharp, or the D flat, that requires only one of them. Specifically this one. Oh wait, no. Yeah, that one. Okay. Without any of the keys, it would be hard to stretch your fingers all the way down to those two bottom notes. As you can see, the pinky only goes that far. And those just help produce those notes, help the musician spread their fingers out less than they already are. As you can see, they're much more spread out than the alto recorder, and even more so on the bass, or the great bass. The bass recorder is a lower version of the alto, so it's going to be having a bottom key of F below the middle C. This one actually goes to middle C. This one goes to the F above that C, so it's the F on the space, the first space from on the bottom of the treble clef. And then the bass recorder is larger than the tenor, of course. It would probably have more keys, and actually has a curved neck, kind of like a saxophone. It would go to the F below middle C, and then there's even a great bass, which is basically, I think, this instrument, so a tenor, but lower than a tenor. So it's a big old family, the recorder family. And another thing about the tenor, it's, again, one more octave lower than the standard soprano recorder, which is taught in elementary school or middle school, depending where you will go. And so if you play a C major scale, it's going to sound like a C major scale. Actually, let me try to adjust it. Okay. Here's a C major scale, and you'll notice that it's lower than a soprano recorder. So on this instrument, I am going to play a piece from the Pokemon games called from Lavender Town, and it's specifically from Pokemon Gold, Silver, and Crystal. Funny story about the one from Red and Blue. There's a rumor that if you play it and there's certain frequencies that cause a lot of spooky stuff to happen, it's only in the Japanese version that this happens. But I think there's also like some urban legends about the English version of the Pokemon Red and Blue version of the theme. But since it's the holiday season, and I don't mean Halloween, I mean all the festive ones, like Christmas, Hanukkah, and Kwanzaa and such, I'm going to be playing the more happier version in Gold and Silver and Crystal, as well as the remakes, of course, Heart Gold and Soul Silver. But yeah, there's two versions of the song, basically. There's the sober one from Red and Blue, and then there's the more happier, almost like, I would say like a lullaby quality to it in Heart Gold and Soul Silver. And so, here's Lavender Town. me just air out the instrument a little bit. This one, so one of the downsides of the tenor recorder, actually, this brings up a good point, is this instrument in particular, it fogs up in like 10 or 20 minutes, so I can't play long or practice long on it. Especially if I start hitting the higher notes, which require more airstream and stuff like that, the condensation builds up much sooner than usual. So I like practicing on the tenor because it's not as screechy as a soprano. It has a more warmer and more mellow tone to it than a usually screechy recorder. But the only downside, personally for me, is it just fogs up. So it's like it has a time limit on how long you could practice, even though you'd like to practice a little bit longer. It has like this time limit where no, you can't practice anymore. I'm gonna fog up. So I like the instrument. It's a very nice instrument. Actually, let me get my other binder. I have some other Pokemon songs that I wanted to kind of look at. I have 3 binders of music. One of them has stuff like Vivaldi Four Seasons and some of the Bach concertos. Then I have this one, which is more contemporary music or things that aren't from the Baroque era. So like I have some things in here from How to Train Your Dragon, some movie themes, a lot of Pokemon, which I just added in. And let me go find something quickly that I can play on this thing before it starts, fogging up. Just gonna check if I could actually hit all these notes. Looks like I can't on this specific recorder. I'll need to switch instruments. Yeah, I'll need to switch instruments for that. Let's keep looking for a song I can play on this recorder. It doesn't really, none of the recorders really have like a limited range. I mean, you could play from, let me do a full range thing, just the C major stuff. So you have like 3 C's in there that you could play, but so it's like it has a big range, but then at the same time it's limited, but then it's also not a limited range. Most people usually think that you could only go from, because that's where they stop teaching in elementary school or middle school. They usually stop at that D right here. There's just one finger. But you could actually expand the range of the instrument by, so in the back here there's that hole, and if you half cover it like that, then you could even get into the higher range. So like E, for example, that higher range would be the same fingering as the regular E, which is down here. But then I'm going to cover that back hole by just half of my thumb. Like that. So usually a good rule of thumb, I guess, if I'm making puns, but rule of thumb with the recorder is to get into the higher octave, you half cover the back with your thumb, and then you mostly do the same fingering as you would do in the lower register. Like a G, for example, is the same. The only difference is covering this halfway or fully. So low G, high G. The only one that's a little bit different is when you get up to the B natural, and some other notes, but I'll just use the B natural for the example. Here's the lower B. Here's the higher B, and instead of just doing this and covering the back halfway, you actually need to add this finger down, and you also need to add these two. And yeah, my phones or the streams are mirrored, so it looks like I am playing like this, but I'm actually playing with my left hand on top, playing with the left hand on top. So anywho, here's the high B again. Here's the low one. Here's the high one. So it's just, sometimes when you're doing the upper octave stuff, you need to actually look up a specific fingering, like beyond that highest D, you need different fingerings for some of those notes, like an E flat. Sometimes you also have to cover the bottom of the recorder with your knee or something else like that. But anywho, so good rule of thumb again is want to get up in that higher octave, cover the back hole here with your thumb halfway. Anywho, I think I know what other song we're going to be playing from the Pokemon series. I'll be playing the Pokemon Center theme. Why not? This is, of course, a recognizable theme. If you play the games more often than not, you'll be playing through the game, and then there's like a powerful trainer, I guess a gym leader or someone like that. They knock out your Pokemon, and you're sent back to the Pokemon Center. For some reason, the trainer blacks out, which is kind of weird. I mean, you'll still need to carry your Pokemon to the Pokemon Center. I don't know why you block out. But anywho, so Pokemon Center you enter, you need to heal your Pokemon, and you're back out on your adventure. So anyways, here's the Pokemon theme. Sorry about that. There's like a spider or a bug crawling on my face. It's either a bug or a hair, I don't know, but it's bothering me. Okay, I'm back. I'll just start at the beginning. Like last time, now I need to air out my instrument again. Alright, I think now I'm going to move on to another movie or TV show or video game that I enjoy a lot, and it's the How to Train Your Dragon series. So specifically, I'm going to be performing The Romantic Flight, which is from the first movie. Nostalgia is just hitting me hard right now. I really want to play this song. It's in the key of B major natural, B natural major. So it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sharps, and it's a very unfriendly key for band instruments. I was in concert band for middle school and high school, and also this past semester for college. And the instruments in there are usually in B flat or F or an E flat, and B major natural isn't a very friendly key for those kinds of instruments. It's a key that I think both orchestra people and band people could finally get along on something than roasting each other's instruments, you know? It's both of band and orchestra don't really like this key, even though it's a very bright key, it's a beautiful key, but it's just so difficult to play with all the sharps and any accidentals that are thrown in there. So without further ado, here's an excerpt of Romantic Flight from How to Train Your Dragon. That melody brought your heart soaring to the skies like the dragons in that movie franchise. Love it. I love the movie. I grew up on all three of them. I remember going to the movie theater for the first one. Then for the second one, I think I was in middle school. Then the third one was in 2018. I would have been either a freshman or just about to finish middle school. And each of the movies, whenever we rewatch it, it still takes me on an adventure. I love the How to Train Your Dragon franchise. I just love the movies. I love listening to the score as well. And yeah, it just brings back childhood memories, really. And yeah, I just love the How to Train Your Dragon series very much. Alright, actually I'm going to get my Soprano Recorder. I've been talking about the Soprano Recorder, and I'm going to squeeze in a little bit of music for it right at the end. So I'll be back. Alright, I'm back. Okay, so here is a soprano recorder. I actually have two. One of them's my sister, she gave it to me, and then this one I got. This is not a Yamaha one, it's just some random off-brand, but I want to get a Yamaha one of these days, but this is what I have, and then one of my sister's. So, soprano recorder, it's the one from elementary school or grade school or middle school that they would have taught during music class. And so again, C major scale on this one because it's in the key of C. It takes a lot of air actually to play such a tiny instrument, which is kind of surprising. But anyway, so this one has modern fingering where the alto, for example, here's size comparison between the two. Okay, so the alto recorder, before I put it away, it's in a Baroque fingering style where the F, or should I say the B flat, because that's the fourth in the F scale. So the B flat could be played like this. Well, that's what I do. It's kind of a cheat, but if I'm doing a fast passage, I'll do it like this. But this is actually the incorrect fingering because this note, this B flat, is a little bit sharp. So to make it more of a centered B flat that isn't sharp or flat, you put this finger down as well, the pinky. You hear the sound waves bouncing off of each other. It's because this one's more sharp and this one's more flat. And then this one is actually the official fingering for B flat too. So. And then, so the soprano recorder I have right here is a modern fingering style where the fourth note of that scale, and this one it's the C major scale, you only need your single finger. You don't need to do any of this business. This is for Baroque fingering recorders. This one's for modern fingering. If I try to do a Baroque fingering on a modern fingering recorder, this is what you get for playing that F. It's like this weird transition between an E and an F, so it kind of doesn't have any place in the scale. But if you do the modern fingering on a modern recorder, all of a sudden you have that F. It's kind of fuzzy because that's just how this instrument is. But yeah, you still get that F though. So yeah, so on the fourth note of the scale on a modern instrument, you just do one finger, and then this is a Baroque instrument, or like alto is, you would do the one finger like in modern, but you'll add these for the Baroque. Alright, on this soprano recorder, I found out I really like playing Irish jigs on it, and as well as How to Train Your Dragon, because it has some like jig music in it. Because the tin whistle, the Irish tin whistle, has the bottom note of D, where D on the soprano recorder is actually the second note. So. You could play a lot of repertoire for the tin whistle on the soprano recorder. So that's where I like to begin. This is an Irish jig called The Butterfly, and it was famously performed by Celtic women. But this is just the melody. I can't dance around, so the violinist, the fiddler player in Celtic Women, she does her own rendition of the Butterfly, and she's like dancing everywhere on the stage, and she has this fast 4/4 section, which I can't even attempt. I found sheet music for it, but the fingerings are really crazy, and it's super fast. But yeah, she plays her version of this, and it's a very outdoor sounding piece, because you would have, when they're recording it, they have like an acoustic guitar, and then they have the percussion people, they're playing on like these large toms with brushes. So it's like this, it feels like you're in an open field, and then there's like low footsteps in the background, maybe people dancing, or maybe people hiking or going on a hunt. And then the fiddle or the tin whistle, whatever instrument is doing the melody, it sounds like this butterfly just swooping around, dancing around the scene in the field. And then this other rendition I found of the butterfly, it was a tin whistle and a bodhrán, or the Irish frame drum. So again, it's bringing in these different instruments from Ireland, of course, and some Western drum set, specifically in the Celtic Women version, where you have the drum set incorporated in it as well. But without further ado, here's a little bit of the butterfly, which is an Irish slip jig. All right. Going to go and read the comments for you guys. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I didn't know my name, 106. Really appreciate it. What other song should I play on this instrument? Just gonna look through here if I find something I could do. Oh, I know what to play. So sticking with the dance-like lively piece of music, and with the previous section on how to train your dragon, let's combine the two, and I'm going to play the test drive, or the main theme from How to Train Your Dragon 1. So again, this is just a soprano recorder, same kind that they teach in elementary or middle school. And it's a very, very powerful piercing instrument once you get into that high register, as all the meme covers of songs may have taught you. It's a fun instrument to play, to learn and practice. Unironically, you'll find a rich history of recorders coming back from the medieval period. And fun fact, actually, Henry VIII, the the famous king who had the 6 wives, he actually had a recorder collection, and he also wrote Greensleeves as well. So, actually, I did not know about that. But while learning about the instrument and seeing the history behind the recorder, now going into the Renaissance period, of course, there would be, like, at the Renaissance fair, you know, if you go to a Renaissance fair, you see, like, a jester, and they're probably playing a recorder. The Renaissance recorders came in a bunch of different pitches. There's ones that still were kept into the Baroque period, which was after the Renaissance. There's things called the 6th flute, and the 3rd and the 4th flute, and those are just different pitched recorders. You would have a group of recorders playing for, like, nobility in the castle. The recorder is a very quiet instrument, unless you have, like, maybe if you have, like, 10 of them playing the highest note, like all at once, maybe you could probably use them as, like, a tornado siren or something. But it's a very intimate and quiet instrument, so you would have a small group of musicians playing the recorder, and you would call that a consort. And of course, the recorder comes in different sizes. Soprano, there's actually a smaller one than the soprano called the sopranino, which is 1 octave above the alto and F. And then there's a smaller one than the sopranino called the Garklein recorder, which is even higher than the soprano instrument. It's one octave above this instrument right here. Of course, you have the tenor. If you keep going down, you have the great bass, and then right above the great bass, you have the bass. And in the Renaissance and in medieval times, I believe, as well, they actually had these giant bass recorders that are like, they tower over the player. Like, if you go and look up on YouTube, there's recordings on period instruments from, like, these different dance books that they had in medieval and Renaissance eras. And you would see, like, this ensemble of, like, maybe 10 people. There's some people you could recognize it playing on the Renaissance version of a soprano or an alto recorder. But then, near the tenors and stuff, there's, like, these, again, big, giant pipe-looking instruments. But they're not decoration. Those are actual instruments. They're playing, like, the very deep, lowest registers for the ensemble. And then when you get to the Baroque period, there are actually, again, a lot of concertos and such for the recorder. I was playing through one of the movements of a Bach concerto, the Brandenburg Concerto. There's actually 2 of them that have the recorder in them. The second one has a recorder, the alto and F, and then the Brandenburg Concerto number 4 actually has 2 recorders as a solo instrument, but it's debated whether they are alto and Fs, or are they in altos and Gs, or are they flageolets, which is like an English instrument, like an English early flute. The reason why they're debating what kind of recorder they used in the Brandenburg Concerto number 4 is because there's an impossible note in some of the runs in that recorder part. The impossible note is, well, I'm going to try and explain it. So you have this top G. This is supposed to be the highest G possible in those in those parts, and in general, so this is just the highest on the recorder. On this recorder, it sounds like this. Please cover your ears. So, of course, there's a G, right? So I'm just going to lower it down 1 register. So there's a G, and then there's an F sharp, which is a half step lower. But Bach writes in the half note low, the half step lower, not a whole note lower, a half note lower. Sorry about that. The half step lower of that top G. So you would have this note, but you need to get that F sharp. So how did they get the F sharp back then? So I've been looking at how to play the F sharp for that concerto specifically. Some people are saying that it's an illusion where that note's supposed to be there because it's in the key of G, so then all the other instruments around are covering the different parts and the chords and all that. So audibly, it would just make an illusion that there is that note there, but it isn't actually being produced. Most places, though, they tell you to cover the bottom of the recorder with your knee, so like that, or I like doing it like that. Look at that. There's a lot of moisture in the recorder and down on my pants. Anyway, so yeah, you would cover the bottom of the recorder with your leg or your knee. So the G becomes an F sharp. Okay, so now imagine doing that during a fast 16th note run or something like that, because Bach uses very fast, very intricate, complex runs in his music. So imagine that you're doing the run is from, let me think about it, it's like this. I can't even play it even if it's slow. Let me try it again. Okay, practice does make perfect. Anywho, so that run there requires the F sharp, the impossible note, but that was way below tempo, and I even had to pause in there because I can't really get the run straight, even with the impossible note in there. But so imagine playing that at speed. So it's kind of like dun 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 dun. So finger dun 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 dun, and then you would have to do that, but you could kick yourself in the jaw or something, because it's so fast and you only need it for an instant. So what some historians and some researchers are suggesting is that Bach actually wrote for alto recorders that were pitched in G. When they're pitched in G, they could hit that note no problem at all. So yeah, it's just kind of like what instrument was it written for, but we know it's for some sort of recorder, so yeah. Anywho, man, I forgot what I was gonna play next. I've been talking about the different recorders for the past 5 minutes. I forgot what I was going to play next. I think I'm just going to move on to the Christmas Carol segment. I couldn't remember. I had one more song planned, but I just can't remember what it was. Looks like my other phone also died. Looks like it died on me. Yep, it did. Okay, so this stream has ended, but this stream is still going. I'll just continue on here anyway. So I think it just cut off when I was talking about the recorder and stuff, so I was giving the history lesson, wasn't actually playing. Anywho, so yeah, I'm going to probably move on to the Christmas song segment of this practice thing. I'm going to start with Greensleeves. Again, Greensleeves is written by King Henry VIII, and he actually did compose some pieces and had a recorder collection. He wasn't a great guy because of all his wives and stuff, but he did compose and he did write some pieces for instruments. He did collect the recorders, so it's just interesting how some of these historical figures, which you wouldn't expect to know an instrument or play an instrument, actually did some stuff for music. Like another example and more better role model in history would be Ben Franklin. Ben Franklin actually invented an instrument called the glass harmonica, which are these glass wheels that are rotating. You get some water in your fingers, and then the friction would make this woo, woo, as you move your fingers ever so slightly like that. Mozart actually used his instrument, the glass harmonica, in one of his pieces, which is pretty cool. And Ben Franklin also wrote a string quartet. And what's interesting about the string quartet that he wrote was it's all open strings, but you would have to tune the violin to a different tuning than it is standard. You would also do the same thing for viola and cello. So yeah, I didn't know that Ben Franklin actually composed music or that he invented an instrument. That was pretty interesting. Some of the other founding fathers also played instruments. Thomas Jefferson, I believe he played the cello. Um, George Washington really loved the minuet, which is a French waltz dance, a dance type from France. And Bach even wrote some minuets into one of his concertos. The first Brandenburg and a lot of other composers from the Baroque period also used the minuet. So yeah, without further ado, here's the Green Sleeves. The next song I'll be performing, staying with the Christmas theme, or the winter theme, I should say, is not generally a Christmas carol, but again it has to do with winter, and for the sake of it, let's play Vivaldi's Winter. I'll be playing the second movement, also known as Vivaldi's Rain. Vivaldi's Rain is when this song is in D major and it has lyrics to it, but the original version is in E flat major and it's part of his Winter Violin Concerto. The one that goes that they use sometimes in commercials as well. So it was also used in John Wick. So in one of the fight scenes in one of the John Wick movies, I'm not gonna say which one, but that song is in the background while Keanu Reeves is, what he does in those movies. Anyway, here comes Winter. Right, I'll end the Christmas segment with a playing of Joy to the World. Closing, I'm going to play a little bit of Decent Joy of Man's Desiring by Bach, as well as going to try and blend I Saw Three Ships Come Sailing It, the Christmas Carol, with this song. Both are in G major, so I'm just going to see how it goes, because they both have that 6/8 or 12/8 feel, so I was thinking, man, they might sound good together, so there's going to be a little bit of experiment during this stream. It's a bit of an experimentation, but I hope it goes well. I'm just going to find the binder that has the song first. I can't remember where I put it. It's either in this binder or the other one. And, it looks like it's in the other binder. Sorry about that. I should really, make a list of where everything is. I have so much sheet music I still have to put in these binders, actually. I have like 3 pages left. Okay, where are you? I just saw it because I remember it's in. I think it's in this binder. Yeah, it's right here. Alright. So here's an experimental mashup of, you know what, I'll try and throw in Four Seasons Spring in there as well, of I'm going to just say Decent Joy of Man's Desiring by Bach. There's the actual title, the cantata where it's from, but I don't want to butcher the pronunciation. So I'm going to play a little bit of Decent Joy of Man's Desiring and mix in some Vivaldi Spring, as well as I Saw Three Ships Come Sailing in the Christmas Carol. Alright. Alright, that concludes this round of practice and this live stream. Thank you so much for everyone who's viewed and for all your support, continued positivity on here. I really appreciate it, and I'm very grateful to be playing and sharing the gift of music with all of you. Hope everyone stays safe and has a good rest of the day, and please do something nice for someone. Catch y'all later. Thank you so much.